Tornadoes are on the table today across Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota, and by tomorrow this system escalates into one of the most dangerous setups we have seen all year. Over 10 million people sit inside the threat zone right now. Today's Doppler score is 8 out of 10, a high-threat day driven by tornado risk. Before this briefing ends, I will tell you exactly where I expect the first tornado-warned storm to develop and what time it happens. My read on this setup is that the atmosphere has two things happening at once that make today dangerous. A strong storm system is pushing east across the plains, and warm, humid air is streaming north ahead of it, loading the atmosphere with explosive storm fuel. When the cold front arrives this afternoon, storms will fire fast, and the wind energy already stacked above them will tighten rotation inside individual cells almost immediately. This animation tracks the upper-level winds over the next 18 hours. Watch the fastest winds swing directly over the same corridor where storms developed this afternoon, from central Nebraska northeast into southern Minnesota. That overhead speed is what turns today's storms into wind machines and gives supercells the spin they need to produce tornadoes. Now look at this overlay of instability and wind shear crossovers. The overlap zone, where dangerous storm fuel meets rotating wind profiles, sits right over Nebraska into western Iowa this afternoon. That overlap is tight and well-defined, and it tells me the supercell window is real. The one variable I am watching is timing. If storms fire before 4 p.m. Central, the instability peaks and the tornado window opens wide. If convection is delayed past 6, the window shortens and storms may cluster into a wind-dominant line instead of individual rotating cells. The tornado probabilities tell the most important story today, so let me walk you through them. Here is today's tornado probability map. The highest contour, 15%, sits over eastern Nebraska and west Iowa, and both the 10 and 15% zones carry significant threat hatching. That hatching means E, F, 2 or stronger tornadoes are in play inside this corridor. These are tornadoes strong enough to destroy well-built homes, flip vehicles, and strip trees to stumps. If you are anywhere inside that hatched zone, you need a plan to be underground or in an interior room on the lowest floor before storms arrive. The broader 5% contour stretches from eastern Colorado all the way into the Great Lakes, so the threat is not limited to the core. But the core is where the worst happens. Now looking at the wind probability map for today. 30% wind probabilities with significant hatching are centered over northeastern Nebraska and northwestern Iowa. That means gusts above 75 miles per hour are possible. If you have patio furniture, trampolines, or anything unsecured in your yard across this region, bring it inside before 3 p.m. Now today's hail probability. 30% large hail probabilities with significant hatching stretch from eastern Colorado up to southwestern Minnesota and down to northern Kansas. We are talking hail 2 inches or larger, big enough to shatter windshields and total a vehicle in minutes. If you have a garage, use it today. If you do not, consider covering your car or parking under a structure. Now I want to show you exactly which cities fall inside these risk zones, because if your city is on this list, your afternoon plans change right now. The highest risk today, the enhanced zone, covers the Omaha Metro, Lincoln, Grand Island, Kearney, North Platte, and Norfolk across Nebraska, along with Sioux City in Iowa and Sioux Falls in South Dakota. These cities are in the bullseye for tornadoes, damaging wind, and large hail this afternoon and evening. Stepping out one level, Des Moines, Minneapolis, and Wichita sit inside the slight risk, where organized severe storms are expected, but coverage will be lower. If this briefing just helped you understand your risk today, subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a forecast when the threat is aimed at your neighborhood. On your screen now is the simulated radar forecast. Storms begin firing along the cold front near North Platte and Grand Island between 2 and 3 p.m. Central. By 4 p.m., discrete supercells will be moving east across the Interstate 80 corridor through the Omaha and Lincoln metros. The most dangerous window for tornadoes is 4 to 8 p.m. Central, when instability peaks and storms are still discrete. After 8 p.m., storms begin merging into a line and the primary hazard shifts to straight-line wind pushing through northern Iowa and southern Minnesota into the overnight hours. Severe weather is possible through 2 a.m. Monday for the eastern edge of this system. My call. The Omaha Metro sees the first tornado-warned supercell between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. Central. That is where instability, wind shear, and the frontal trigger all converge at peak heating. No tornado or severe thunderstorm watches are active as I record this. I expect the Storm Prediction Center to issue a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch for eastern Nebraska and western Iowa by early to mid-afternoon. When that watch drops, treat it as your signal to finalize your shelter plan and charge your phone. Do not wait for a warning to figure out where your safe room is. On your screen is the Doppler threat outlook for the next 6 days. Today is dangerous, but tomorrow is worse. Day 2 scores a 9.9 out of 10, an extreme threat, making it the most dangerous day of the entire week. Here is the Day 2 categorical map. A moderate risk, issued only about 14 times a year, is centered over eastern Kansas. Enhanced risk expands outward across the broader region. This is a significant escalation from today. Looking at tomorrow's tornado probabilities, 15% tornado risk with significant hatching returns over the same general corridor, but the Day 2 hail probabilities are what stop me cold. 45% large hail probabilities with the highest level of significant threat, that is the signal for an extreme hail event, the kind that produces baseball-sized stones and catastrophic damage to anything exposed. Tomorrow's wind probabilities also hit 30% with significant hatching centered over central Iowa down to northern Texas, meaning a widespread damaging wind event is also likely. Tomorrow's full briefing will be the most important forecast I deliver this week. I will have a complete breakdown with city-level detail and timing. Day 3 carries a slight risk shifting east into the Ohio Valley, but that is a story for Tuesday's briefing. On your screen now is the excessive rainfall outlook. The flood risk runs parallel to the severe threat. Tomorrow carries a slight risk for excessive rainfall centered over Iowa and northern Missouri, meaning storm training and heavy rain rates could overwhelm drainage and flood streets and low water crossings. Do not drive through standing water, especially Monday night, as storms move through after dark. Doppler tracking. Doppler out.